Okay, it says recording now.
Yeah, we on.
Okay, so Rich, you came up with the topic of what have we learned from failed relationships with women? I think that's a great topic, and I think a lot of times, even as men, I mean, I don't think we've ever taken that conversation to the lab. You know, it's just when a relationship.
Okay, hold on. So I got a question for y'all.
Uh-huh.
So if that's gonna be a topic, do you think we should just outright just instead of trying to be a little bit more professional about it, be like, yo, today's topic is going to be on whoop-de-whoop, whoop-de-whoop?
Nah, I don't think we got to do that.
All right, so yeah. That don't matter to me. But they gonna chew us up and spit us out over everything once they start dropping these joints.
Still, we can edit it. But no, okay, we can do it that way. We can just so. Rich, you came up with this topic that we're going to discuss today, and it's what have we learned from our failed relationships? I think that's a great topic, and I don't think it's something that we've ever really sat down and discussed. It's just like, when your relationship is over, it's just kind of like, oh, it's over. Like, we don't really, bring it to the friend circle. So a good question is, why don't we bring it to the friend circle? But I'm willing to go first. I would say early on, especially like younger, like, my high school relationships and relationships through my late teens, early 20s, I would say that I had a unrealistic idea of what a woman was. And I always tell women, from day one, as men, we hear how bad we are relationship wise. Like, you ain't shit, or all men are cheaters, all men are dogs, you're going to be just like your father, all those different things. But with women, we kind of view women as good, like ourselves is bad and women is good. So when your relationship fail and stuff starts to come out at the end of the relationship. The woman you was dating gets mad at you about something you did, and she ends up saying, well, that's why I was doing such and such anyway. That, and hit you with that stinger. And it's like, wow, for me anyway, I was like, wow, I thought women didn't do stuff like this. And I admit, like, it kind of had me looking at most women sideways after that, for real. Because like I said, I had this fairy tale idea of what a woman was up to that point.
Yeah, it's, I don't know if it's just can be claimed like by the media, but most of the time, like you said, it does have a narrative. Men are the bad guys, and women are the angels. I don't know if that's just for TV or if it's because I know it's through media and television it's portrayed that way, and I don't know if that's art imitating life or if life is sort of imitating art through that aspect. But most of the time, like I know even saying through my relationships, if something goes bad or saying it's on rocky grounds, first thing I would do is like, what'd you do to fuck it up? They would ask me that, and everybody just looks at it as like, relationship goes south, it's because of the man or something the man's done. But in our reality, that's not the case, because first of all, them shits is hard to maintain. Like I tell this all the time, like I think it's kind of what we fuck up in society. Like nobody tells us how hard it is to maintain a relationship. Like two people living together, for one, is hard as hell. And then, going through it and trying to get it figured out while you want to go and just thinking everything's supposed to be perfect, that really makes things more complicated. So I think most of the time when it's like you said why don't we ever talk about it? Like going through it, I think you in the midst of it and things start getting rocky. I don't even think you know what the hell's going on. So like, so it really when it hits the fan, and you know what I'm saying, like when you go through a breakup with somebody, it's like, you know, even if it was a shitty relationship, you kind of like, well, damn, I missed that person, or you know, you kind of get adjusted, and you know, humans are creatures of habit, so you gotta get used to not being with somebody. So in the immediate beginning of the relationship feeling, you don't really know what's going on, so you can't really explain it. So like some of this stuff just takes time to reflect on before you can actually bring it up. And I think it's probably why it's a good time to go back and visit this or bring it to the forefront, because we can go back and look at old relationships versus somebody just stepping fresh out of relationships saying, damn, I did this and I did that and it was wrong. And sometimes it takes some time to reflect.
I think in a relationship, it just maybe it's just me. Um, a lot of times when you're in a relationship with a woman, they're very quick to point out everything you're doing incorrectly. Um, so once the relationship is over, you think about all the stuff they pointed out that was not to their liking. Um, typically, not all the time, but they tend to point out the things that they don't like more than the things that they do like. So I think once the relationship is over and you have that moment of clarity, you just really focus on the negative things that they said. And I think sometimes you try to, I don't know, work on those things. Even they may not even been correct, but when you go to that next relationship, you kind of try to be aware of them.
Yeah, yeah. Um, with Corey, I mean, me and you have talked about, times where a woman you may have dated contacted me and, like kind of like, what's up with him? Why is he this way? Why is he that way? And, I would never really sit and talk to a woman about you, but I would also come back to you with what they said. And if I felt like as your friend that I can see you being that way, you know, I tell you, like, bro, I kind of feel where she's coming from with this because, I see that you are that way. You that way with me sometimes, you know what I mean? So I can only imagine. But can we say that, you know, um, so we could all say that you learn your flaws relationship wise when the relationship ends.
Some of them girls lie.
That's true. I mean, and again, they don't tell their side of it, But then it goes back to men being bad,
They
women
was
being
lying,
good.
man. Yeah, I was lying.
No, I get. Trust me, I get that. You know what I
I was just
mean?
talking. I was just talking trash.
But the sad part about that, and this is something else that I've learned, that it's very rare for a man to be able to express his dislikes pertaining to a woman that he's dating until after the relationship crumbles. You hear about everything you doing wrong during a relationship, but you don't necessarily have a voice in the relationship because your voice, if you telling her something that you think is wrong, it's kind of deemed as an attack, and she'll shut down on you for the most part. Now, for me, it always come way after the fact, like after they went and dated someone else, or I've moved on and we bump back into each other later in life, or they just send me an email out the blue. And it's like, hey, some of the, I'm starting to realize that I was kind of one-sided, when me and you were dating, and, you know, you tried to tell me certain things and I just wasn't ready to listen to those things at that time. But now I'm starting to see that maybe you just weren't all that bad. But like you said, Corey, they always see the bad in you and not the good. You know what I mean? But that goes to that whole old saying, there wouldn't be any good if there was no evil to judge it by.
It's like when you see a car that you like, you ooh, I like that car, I want that car, I'm gonna go get that car. But once you get that car, you drive that car, you had that car for a while, you start seeing that the seats may not be as soft as you thought. Um, it's fast, but it's not as fast as you thought it would be. Um, I don't know. You see the flaws in it, but and I'm just just going just thinking. But sometimes they're you know I can't speak for everybody, but I know I've been in situations where I would see someone doing something that I probably too much didn't care for, and I probably wouldn't speak on it because sometimes I just look at the bigger picture. Like they may be doing something I don't too much care for, but that ain't a deal breaker. You know, ain't no sense in you know creating a fire when it's something I can get past. But sometimes when on the opposite side, they won't smoke whenever they whenever they can get some smoke.
Yep.
And you know, sometimes they look at it as you're not being honest. I don't look at it like that. I'm looking at like if they doing something I'm not gonna be mad about a week from now, you know, what's the reason of us having an issue over it? Now we can have a discussion over it, but sometimes you got to understand your partner and certain things. You got to catch them in the right moment to even have a discussion on it because they don't think it's a personal attack.
Yep.
And everything we talk about is not necessarily a personal attack. Certain stuff, that's when you got to look at certain stuff I can address, certain stuff I can't address.
Mhm.
But on the flip side, it's like they're gonna address everything because they're gonna say they're a better communicator than you. They are more talker than you. And they don't, I ain't gonna say they, some of them don't understand like they taking shots at you and they thinking they're
And you holstering your gun.
yeah, but then if I pull the trigger every now and then, now it's I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you thought that. I can't believe you look at me like that or something. And it's like, I don't think of you like that. I don't look at you like that, but that's something that I probably don't too much care for. And, how can you stop doing that? Or can you think of a better way to say this or say that? And it's a uncomfortable conversation. And sometimes, like I say, they take it too personal. And it's not necessarily a personal attack on them. It's just, something we need to be addressed. But once you think about all the stuff that's gonna come with the aftermath of the conversation, you like, man, fuck that. I ain't even gonna bring it up.
So sticking with the topic, can you say that you learned from your failed relationships that your voice don't necessarily, or your feelings or your thoughts don't necessarily matter?
Yes, and some of that's probably my fault too, though. I'm gonna say my feelings probably didn't matter with a lot of women because I never showed them my feelings. So it got to a point where they probably just all thought he don't care.
So you
So
learned
that was
that you,
probably it was probably now I'm not gonna put all that on them.
yeah,
That was
because we're
you
talking
know
about what you learned.
yeah.
So you learned that you weren't as open as you should have been, maybe.
Yeah, I would definitely wasn't as open. Definitely wasn't as open.
I could dig that. Why you laughing,
So,
Rich?
So are you gonna be more sensitive going forward? Are you gonna be a new Ralph Tresvant version of Corey going forward?
Nah, I'm going back to old Nino Brown on him.
You know,
Ah.
kind of keeping in line with what you said. In a lot of ways, I learned that me being an only child,
Hold on.
like me being my mother's only child,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I had my own apartment early. Well, like, me and Preston, we had that apartment when we was like, what, 17?
Right.
So, I didn't really, I was already my mother's only child, and then I never really had to live with a woman, coming up. So I kind of learned that I was okay with being alone. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So, like a woman sometimes wants you to, feel the need to be up under her all the time. And I learned that I valued my alone time more than us time, which wasn't really fair to the woman, but that's just, how life has shaped me as a person. It's just who I was.
I can see that happening. I'm trying to think of something uh, I learned from women that I dealt with. One thing I've learned is that they all are different. Um, and you really got to sit and really be so observant to them of not sometimes what they say, but what they didn't say.
Mm-hmm.
Because they tend to think they're communicating a lot and they saying a lot, but sometimes they just saying the same
Feeling a
thing.
way and expecting you to understand it.
Yeah. So, well, they just saying the same thing over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And but sometimes they're, like not all women, not all women, but sometimes they're not. I sometimes, man, I think they think they know what they want, but they don't know what they want. And,
Well,
and
again, we can't
yeah,
really talk
I can't
about.
say that. I can't say that. I
Well, I'm
can't say
saying we
that.
can't we can't talk about them like we're
Yeah,
talking
we
about
can't think
us.
about us. No doubt,
Yeah,
no doubt,
yeah.
no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So the question, what was the question then? Stay on topic.
What did you learn from your failed relationships with women?
Okay, I learned that I need to be a better communicator. I learned that I need to be more attentive. I learned that um, what they want and need can be very simple, but very complex at times, figuring out what they want and need at that time.
Yeah, yeah, because that could change,
And
from
it
time
changes
to
every day.
time. But
Changes
yeah,
every day.
that's real tough. Um, Another thing that I would say that I learned was that relationship wise, I just really wasn't a good person. You know what I'm saying? Like, how could I put it? I know early on, I could like a woman, I could want to be with a woman, but at the same time, I don't want to use the word player because it sounds like, trying to get over, trying to finesse or whatever. But um, I was a cheater. You know what I mean? And I never really looked at how hurt a woman could be because I cheated. You know what I'm saying? I never looked at how it could cause self-esteem issues, emotional issues, and because to me it was, it just wasn't that big a thing. Like, oh man, I just slid off. That's how I'm thinking in my mind. And but then when they hit the fan, and she all distraught and saying she need to go to counseling, and I ruined her life and all these different things, and I'm like, wow, like I really did that. I couldn't believe it. So in a lot of ways, I feel like I learned that I maybe wasn't ready to be in a relationship. I hadn't, I don't want to use the word mature, but I hadn't grown as a man to participate in a relationship. I was just still trying to live my single life.
And I know I missed most of that. I caught the end when you talk about maturing. And I think that's probably the biggest part of relationships. I don't think everybody's on the same maturity level between the people in a relationship. But I think, relationships just some grown some grown type activity. Like it's hard when still learning life and trying to be in a relationship and try to make things work with somebody. So, I guess I missed most of what you said, but I can almost guarantee you were probably trying to figure out what you had going on in your own life as well as trying to maintain and make somebody else happy. And like when you're in your 20s, that ain't easy. So that's one thing I've learned, that it takes a lot of work. And y'all got to have a goal in mind when we are enter into those relationships and trying to figure out what you want to do within it.
No, that's true. And you hit the nail on the head as to what I was saying. What I said was I learned, in my early dealings with women that I wasn't necessarily like the best person to be in a relationship with. Because I was a cheater. And like you said, like when you young like that, and I always say this, I say that men go through phases where, you have your phase where you like the regular Joe guy, right? So you might be dealing with a woman, let's just say like a woman that you work with or a woman that was in your class in college, right? And, y'all could have the best relationship ever at that space you in, right? But then you start dealing with success from any level. Like, you touch your first money, right? Your first real money. So now you're dealing with different types of cars, different types of jewelry, different type of attention, right? Which gonna also bring on different types of women. Now we would all love to believe that we're humble enough and grounded enough that we wouldn't fall into that. You know what I'm saying? But as men, we have like more of a conqueror spirit, trophies. You smashing them just to, just to be able to say you smashed them. You know what I mean? And one of the things I think women don't realize is they think that men tend to come out and chase women down every day trying to get on. But they don't, they don't realize like once a man is in a certain position, women come to him. And it's on him to turn those women down. But I can honestly say in a lot of situations, I wasn't strong enough to turn them down. You know what I mean? Women are beautiful, women are sexy, women are a lot of different things. I was born to be attracted to women. So if a woman is, attempting to give me her attention, I might throw my logic out the door, and just you feel me? And again, like, it's wrong. But I never had that conversation with a woman as to how ill affected they are by my actions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's wrong because you're in a relationship. Like, it goes back to that, if you were doing this as a single guy, you'd be cool. But like the fact you're in a relationship, you got somebody else depending on you not to do those things, that's where it makes you wrong. So like even that, you gotta have this battle within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, it like I said, like, younger days, and it ain't easy when you get older. So so especially when you're younger, that shit it's almost It's almost impossible.
Mhm.
So, you know, and you got to learn from that. You know, I think that's why when you get older, you get better in a lot of things. You know, I learned from it. You know, and you know, I grew up around people, you know, who did things in a different way. You know, not the best influences. You know, had old lady at home. You know, what I'm saying, they was young dudes, babies, mamas. You know, and all that shit just wouldn't go home. And go home, they fighting. You know, I'm kind of taking this all in. I know I want to be on the fighting shit, but you know, you see some of this shit, you just kind of like you learn from your family, you learn from your friends. And the majority of the time, you're around your friends more than your family. So you're just kind of taking this shit in, and you're learning, you're going with it. Uh, you're trying to grow, but you don't always have the best influences. So it kind of starts you off on a bad track in most cases. So, you know, it's hard when you don't have the proper guidance and the proper template to how to get through a relationship. So all this stuff you're gonna be learning from. And then, like I said, going back to me, I started off on bullshit. You know, and a lot of bullshit that happens I had as a kid, you know, it's just hard to kick as I get older. So, you know, and anybody who knows me knows I'm hard to put up with, you know, and especially from a woman, that's, you know, it's even worse. And then, you know, you talking about a woman want me to do what she wants me to, you know, now you just, every time you add a different level to it, it just gets harder and harder and harder. And I think some of the things I've learned is the biggest one, don't fall into that shit. You meet somebody, you tell them, hey, you know, fun to be around, but I ain't always the best thing for you. And then, you know, if you start off with that on that foot, you know, it works a little bit better. You know, you lower their expectations for you. You know, you kind of temper their expectations. And in my experience, so you start low and then you kind of start gradually building into things. You know, if somebody, and if it's somebody you feel like, okay, you know, they let their guard down, I let my guard down, we kind of bring some of the true faults we have to the table first, put it out there, we can work around some of that stuff. But you start off in a relationship and, you meet somebody, you know, y'all both have a physical attraction and y'all start talking, you feel like you get on different levels, like emotionally on the same page, you know, somewhat on the same page, you know, okay, you feel like you're starting to match. You start noticing those things, but still your skeleton's always in the closet. So I think it's one of the biggest things I've learned, just trying to figure things out going into things before you really get into some shit you really didn't realize what it was.
Mm, mm. Ooh, I almost need to rebuttal that.
Go ahead, shoot back. I know you
uh,
got.
nah, seriously, because it's like, you know, I've had women tell me they heard I was messed up. Like they heard I ain't shit, or they heard I dated this woman over here and I did this and that. And they'll tell me that, but then they'll still want to deal with me, right? So it's like I don't even have to tell you that I'm flawed. You told me my flaws coming in the door, right? But at the same time, the second that we had dealings, you expect me to do right because now me and you have dealings. You feel me? I want right coming in the door, sweetie. You know what I mean? Like you said, I'm still trying
Yeah.
to figure it out. You done gave it to me, you know, and now you expecting me to just be right because you gave it to me. You know what I'm saying? And it's just it don't work like that, man. So
Nah.
telling me that you flawed up front, man, that don't work. It might work for you, but I'm saying in my dealings, you know, I say that up front, but then it's just like they believe they the one to make me act right.
Well, yeah, it's the conquering spirit in them, though. Like, it can go the other way because, the worse you tell them what you are, it's kind of like, if you go into the next neighborhood to fight the bully on the block in the neighborhood, you hear he's tough and you've heard the stories. You go in there, you gotta be strapped up, you gotta be ready. And so you feel like it's somebody else you got to conquer. In the same way, it's the same way they look at it. They feel like you got the reputation for yourself. You the big bad guy on the block. They gonna get their rocks off by conquering you. But it don't take away from the fact that you ain't shit going into it. So
No,
they gotta
I
be
agree.
ready for
I agree.
that.
Trust me, I agree.
Yeah, because like
100%.
they always look at it like having an ego is a man thing, but nah, that's not. exclusive to your
That's a
gender.
human thing.
Yeah,
That's a human thing.
yeah. Like, you know, if you, you know, say you the playboy of the neighborhood, you the playboy of the city, you know what I'm saying? You got, you know, you're doing eye for yourself, and you done had, you know, lots of nice women, you know, you have acquaintances with. You know, there's always a woman out there who wants to tame you. So like that ain't just a male thing. It goes across the board. So like you said, even going into it, if you tell them you ain't shit, they still gonna want to, you know what I'm saying, get you under control. So
Okay, so Skeet, you saying you learned from your past relationships that it wasn't cool to cheat then?
I missed that part.
I learned. What I'm saying is, I didn't look at cheating as this omnipresent, omnipotently bad thing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I looked at it more so like, damn, I slid off, but we could argue about it a little bit, but damn, get over it. Until you start meeting the women who just can't get over it. Like they start talking about how you ruin their life and they having all types of issues. They need spiritual counseling, emotional counseling, psychological counseling. You know what I mean? And you like, damn, I shouldn't have cheated if I knew it was gonna cause all of this. And especially, you know, you thinking like, damn, I don't even talk to that woman I slept with now. And here it is, it's done completely ruined my relationship. You know what I mean? That's tough because now you know, to sleep with somebody that you probably didn't really care about, you hurt somebody that you did care about. That's tough.
It's
So
tough enough.
so that's something that you learned, but you had to go through it to learn it.
For sure. For sure. Because like I said, like I admit, I didn't think it was just that big a deal. You know what I mean? You out of town at an event, you know, you meet a chick from the city, y'all do what y'all do, and you thinking that's the end of it until you get back and she not contacted who she think you deal with and your life blowing up now. You know what I mean? You didn't think that far into it when you did it, but now your life getting blew up.
I follow you. I follow.
Um, it was something else I was going to say.
You feel like you learned that same lesson, Corey?
Did I learn the same lessons about cheating? Um, hmm. I learned that if I'm with somebody and our energy is the same and we got the same goal as we trying to build a foundation for each other, and on that foundation we trying to, you know, build on top of it. And if I'm trying to build that foundation with that person, I'm trying to build a strong foundation. And I got to keep my energy on that foundation. And if I start, I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, but once I get to messing with somebody else, I'm putting, it's easy to poke holes into that foundation.
Yeah.
So the foundation got to be solid. And I've learned, I guess that's where it come in at. In previous relationships, I wasn't trying to, I went in it with a bad foundation and the whole thing just crumbled. So it's like now, if I, you know, when I find that person, I try to focus on that one person for the whole situation, because it's gonna be stuff that's gonna try to break the foundation. And we already gotta have a good understanding of each other that, you know, uh, I don't know, that you just gotta know each other good, you know, and understand each other. And if I'm trying to do that, I don't got time to be entertaining somebody else.
Damn, bro, you damn near brought tears to my eyes, boy.
Yeah.
Like I can honestly tell. The woman asked me about you, I'm like, yeah, Corey, he's a good man.
Hold on, Corey. Hey, you even been caught up that many times fucking around?
Damn, he got me over here emotional than a motherfucker.
Have I got caught up that many times?
Yeah, I'm imagine at least once or twice, but it hasn't been a lot of times where you on like you sound like you gotta keyed in on this shit.
I've been caught a couple of times, but that was in my younger days. I've been caught. And so I didn't have my, the foundation wasn't right. So as I got older, when I meet somebody and I'm really into them, that's just something I know, like, you just got to chill off of, because we're going to have a lot of things that's going to try to poke holes in this, and if I already got, if some of the energy already seeping out from that, when another bomb come, it's just gonna bust the hole all the way open, and everything will start seeping out.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
So if it's something that I can do my part knowledgeably and don't let it happen, I'm gonna try my best. Because it's crazy. I mean, that's it. That's it. Y'all understand what I'm saying.
No, I got you 100%. I'm gonna tell you something else I learned though. I learned the difference between a relationship and a relationship, right? And that really taught me about love. And I think I said this before, like, you had this thing called a relationship where you sleep with a woman and she instantly just expect you not to cheat, right? And that's the relationship. Y'all had met, y'all had sex, she expect you not to cheat. It ain't even based on love or anything. It's just y'all had sex, she now expects you not to cheat. To me, that's a relationship. Because you care more about me not cheating or keeping me in order or staying on top of my every actions to make sure I don't do nothing, right? You're not loving me. None of that's making me feel good. Shoot, at one point, like, to be honest, I was dealing with a certain person. It felt demeaning. And I told him, like, you starting to seem more like my mama than my woman. Because it's like you just always on top of me and you trying to keep me in line. Like, I don't need to be kept in line. I'm a grown man. I got to keep myself in line. Like, I don't need you to keep me in line. Like, I need you to care about me, love me, want the best for me, you know? But it never really happened. So I would call that more so of a relationship. All she really cared about was me not breaking the rules. It ain't had nothing to do with caring about me as a person, right? So then I'll come across women who just like me, just flat out. Like, they might know I'm flawed. They might know I slide off and do certain things, right? But they never attacked me. They never flipped out on me or nothing. I mean, some things we had to discuss, if they really felt the way deeply about something I'd done. But even those discussions, it wasn't to put an end to our relationship. It was just, let me know, like, hey, you did that. Like, did you think about this and this and that when you done that? And I felt like those women, those type of women in those type of situations loved me for me. Because it wasn't about me breaking the rule. It was just they genuinely cared about me.
So
I
you
can't say that I learned about love from failed relationships or, just relationships in general. Like, that's how I learned about love. I learned the difference between a relationship and a relationship.
So you learned that you couldn't deal with a relationship then?
I could if I wanted to, you know,
Well,
but that's a choice though.
it's one of them things where I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. If you know, taking the trash out, okay. So I say, for instance, you know, you supposed to take the trash out, and you forget to take the trash out today. You forget to take it out next week, and so your significant other, your girl, she says, you need to take that trash out. You supposed to be taking the trash out, and in theory, what she's saying is correct. But when she's demanding that you take the trash out, it makes you kind of want to buck the system, and I ain't taking the trash out.
Especially if she's making a real big deal about it, because it's like that's that whole keeping me in line thing.
That's my
Part of
point.
me and you dealing with
And,
each other is me taking the trash out. You know what I mean?
and
You
what
don't
she's
nobody want to
asking
feel the
for, she's not asking for a lot. She's just saying take the trash out. But how that's been positioned and stated to you, now it's bigger than the trash.
yeah, it's keeping you in line.
So now it's like I ain't taking the trash out, or I'm gonna take it out, but now I'm gonna take it out when I want to take it out. And you know it and it's different. You know, she's like, baby, you know, the trash day is today. I need you to, take the, she can say need, but she's saying it totally different now. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna need you to, take the trash out for me. Now you probably jump up right then and there. Oh, baby, I'm on it. I'm sorry, I forgot. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Because she didn't position it as a demand.
Mm-hmm.
She positioned it more as something that I almost like, not necessarily saying she needs your help, but she just needs you to play your part in the situation. You know what I'm saying? So the delivery was way, way better. And now you probably rushing to take the trash out every day.
So y'all was more relating than negotiating. Again, like negotiating is rules. Like, you broke a rule. I need to let you know you broke the rule and stay on top of you so you don't break the rule again. Like, that's not love. That's not relating. Just rules.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that, like that that makes me sit back and just think about like past relationships and was it a rules thing? But I just never do well with that. I just ain't been the biggest relationship guy in the world. If I get into married once every few years, but it's just one of those things. Like I'm like I said, hard to put up with, and I'm used to being by myself. Like me, Skeeter talked about it. Kind of like the only child syndrome. When you grow up by yourself, it's kind of like one of those things. It's easier for me to be by myself, and we try to add rules to the situation. Whew,
Yeah, I
it's
just be
tough.
by myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's tough.
um,
That's a tough one
and,
to add to the story.
and that's crazy that you say that, because again, that's another one of those things that I learned, that how that affects a woman's self-worth. Like, for you, you can't live with those rules. Even if she right, you just can't live with somebody being on top of you like that, because you don't need structure. Like, I don't need you to be my mother. I don't need no structure. You're not my drill sergeant. You're not none of those things. We have romantic dealings.
Right.
So, when a woman starts acting like that, of course, like being an only child, and if you also got the ability to get women, you're like, hey, I just rather just, you go about your way and I go about mine. But then that raises another tough question. Have you ever been hurt when it came time for you and a woman to part ways, or a woman wanted to part ways with you?
Yeah, hell yeah. So I ain't been in too many of them, but the few I've been in where it came to the end, it was kind of like some back and forth type of thing. First time, either part, we have this falling out. And the first time was always the hardest, especially you spend a lot of time with them, because I think I talked to Corey about this. I've heard them say it 1,000 times. You just get used to the people. And then you may not be madly in love with them anymore. You may even barely like them anymore. But you're so used to dealing with them. If you had an old lady today and she jumped up and said, look, this shit ain't working for whatever reason, I've been in it for a couple years. She's like, this ain't working, we just need to call it quits. It may be one of those things where, you kind of sick of her shit too. And, she's fed up with you, or, you might not even be as attracted to her as you were when you first met her, but she tell you she's leaving or you got to go, or, whatever it is, y'all parting ways, it's going to hurt at first. So like, the initial breakup's always going to hurt. So like all the relationships I've been in, when they ended, first time was kind of rough, then you kind of go back and, try to mend ways and make it work. And then the second time is still a little bit tough. By the third time, you kind of called it off. It's a little bit easier. But like the first time, when you first really realize it ain't working, it ain't right, yeah, that hurts. I think it's gonna hurt for anybody, like shit. I'm me, but shit, if somebody came in here, my old lady came here right now, or if I was married and she, wife told me that she wanted a divorce, it's just gonna hurt. And then that's when it really starts bumping into, you get the emotional damage. But it takes a while for you to figure out what the faults were in the situation, because I don't think you can really see it when you're in it, unless y'all really just have like really good sit downs and talk about, her point of view versus yours. But like, a lot of times people don't even hit on that level. Like you be in a full-fledged relationship for 3, 4, 5 years and y'all don't even understand each other. And you're definitely having those talks. So
that's true.
Yeah, so yeah, I know. I've been, like I said, a few relationships I've been in, when it first comes to the end, it hurts. Now, at the age I am now, it would still hurt if the same thing was to happen again. But if you've been through it a couple of times, it gets a little bit easier, or you start to realize, hey, the world's gonna keep, going. You still got, work, business, whatever else you got to handle. But like, nah, that relationship and this shit is hard, especially if you put some time into it.
Mm-hmm.
When they say relationships, period, you don't heard this for a long time. Once a man commit, he may be on some BS, but he ain't going nowhere. So just theoretically, if you even go up to the divorce rates, majority of the people that's filing for divorce is women compared to men. Because once that man commits that he's there. And he may not be doing, I don't know, may not be doing what he needs to do to keep the relationship going. I mean, I don't know. But, and from a couple guys that I know that have been in relationships and got married and then got divorced, they, even if they say they was out here on some BS, they'll say that divorce was real hard on them though.
I tell people all the time, particularly women, a man might not be doing everything that you want him to do, maybe on some bullshit, whatever it is. And, he may not even be, that in love anymore, but a man's always gonna go home. Like, it may be fucked up at home, but he's gonna go home. You don't see that many men leave the household and just be like, fuck this, I'm not going home no more. That ain't a common thing with men. And so, like, what, he may not, like, say, he may not adhere to the relationship that Steve was saying, but like, shit, he's gonna hang around. Unless it takes a lot for a man to leave a woman, in my opinion, from everything I've seen.
That's because men, and women gonna hate when I say this, but men actually love harder than women.
I've been hearing that.
We do. And I mean, even amongst our own friend circle, if one of our friends got caught up, or one of y'all got caught up in a woman, right? And your friends, seeing the things you don't see, hearing the things you don't hear, and after so long, they try to come to you and they telling you like, hey, bro, she ain't right. She ain't right. She ain't right. You ain't trying to hear it. You know what I mean? You not. Like, so it also gets to the point where you will end up falling out with your friend for even coming to tell you. You feel me? Now, versus when you see women interacting like that, women be quick to tell their friend that they they think they dude out doing something. You feel me? And the thing with a man is we don't have this idea of perfection. Like a woman doesn't have to be perfect for us to love her. Like we'll put up with her flaws. We don't look at her flaws as a problem. We look at her flaws as just who she is as a person. Now, when we dealing with a woman, it's kind of sort of like we judge by our flaws and our mistakes. So if we make too many mistakes or we reveal too many flaws, it's like she need to move on. Now with us, it's like, I love you too much to just move on. So, I'm gonna just stay here until we, kind of sort of figure it out. So for me, that's what hurt me most when my relationships have ended with women is the fact that I never was on top of them about what I felt like they was doing wrong or their flaws or whatever. And then when stuff hit the fan, it's like they want to tell me all of these things that I'm doing wrong or I've done wrong. And I got a whole list that I could spew out.
Let me stop you right there. Let me ask you, can you even get that list out?
No. That's what I put. But remember I said that earlier. You don't have that discussion until after the relationship is over. And they send that email and start talking about coulda, shoulda, woulda. But my overall point is like you feel kind of stupid. Like, wow, so I loved you to death. I gotta watch you move on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here it is. I accepted you flaws and all.
Right.
I did one thing you maybe didn't agree with, and you want to go. That hurt. And it hurt on a lot of different levels because it hurt because for one, you love the person and you got to watch them go. But it also hurts that, dang, I was willing to accept your flaws and willing to work with you as you figured it out. But when it comes to me, I had to be perfect to be with you.
I don't. I agree with y'all, but some of that is we tend to accept them how they are, and I think they tend to accept us how we are, but they have us already. They got this movie role, and they putting us in a movie, and they're saying you're the perfect character for that. You're the perfect actor for that role. And they almost typecasted you. And so you get in there and they start to see like, I don't know, huh? I thought you like white socks. You like to wear black socks. Why you don't like to wear white socks? And it may not be nothing to you, but they had you typecast that you would be a white socks wearing guy, and then so it's like they just and I don't know if there's something wrong that they're doing, because I don't know if it's just them or if that's something like society kind of just put on people, like when you see somebody, this is what you're supposed to have in a mate. And, then you hear them say sometimes like, sometimes they fall in love with the potential and not the person. I don't know, man. It's just shit
That's what
gets
you're
weird.
saying.
Yeah, shit gets weird.
Like, they just throw you in a role, you don't even really get a chance to audition. You really got the chance to audition. It's like, hold on, this ain't the lead actor. He might be best supporting actor.
And it's always sex that puts you in a role. You know what I'm saying? They sleep with you and then expect you to perform as a boyfriend or something. You know what I mean? And perform to perfection. It's like, I ain't with the acting school, sweetie. You know what I mean? This movie gonna be a flop that you put me in. This ain't gonna do no numbers at the box office, man. Because I'm not that person. I wish I was sometimes, but again, and one of the things I always talk about is, as men, we don't get raised in a way to keep and nurture a relationship. You know, my uncles, my my older cousins who just so happen to be street guys, you know, prominent street guys in their day, right? So they teaching me how to get girls and smash. You feel me? Like they would sit me in the window and be like, "Her man, in a couple years, she gonna be thick like her mama was when we was young. But you better get her, or you better get her, you better get her." And it was always kind of like a challenge, like, "Oh, I bet you can't get her, Ski. Bet you can't get her." You know what I'm saying? But what nobody saying like, "Yo, when you get a woman, man, you gotta be tentative. You gotta put time and effort into them. You gotta nurture that." Like Corey said, you gotta help nurture that foundation and make sure none of the energy is seeping out of the foundation. No, they taught me how to spit game, say what I need to say, do what I need to do, dress how I need to dress, be the person that present myself in a way that's attractive to women so that I could get women. They ain't teach me nothing about keeping no woman. You know what I'm saying? So now I don't put my penis in her, and now I gotta figure out how to keep her. Cause she wanna be kept. I might ain't even want to keep her, right? But now I don't put my penis in her. She feel like I have to want her, right? So now here it is. I'm stuck trying to figure it out. And again, you know, I pride myself on being fairly intelligent, and that's a flaw as well because a lot of times a woman will base your intellect on your ability to be in a relationship. They're like, how could you be this intelligent and cheat? You know what I'm saying? Those two things don't go together. You feel me? But in their mind, it's like you should have been smart enough not to cheat.
At least not to get caught, or at least not to get caught.
Oh, I got a question. When we was talking about how when the breakup, they tend to say men um is hurt more or being loved deeper. Is that the case, or is it just, or is it more our ego? Cause it's like I can't believe they left.
Um, I think it go both ways. I think sometimes you could feel like who you are as a person and what you got going on should be enough alone to keep the woman. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm popping, I'm me, I look like this, I got this and this and that. Ain't no way no woman gonna leave me, right? Then she leave, that's ego. Your ego gonna be more bruised than your heart, you know, but that's still a little different than when y'all were just in a healthy, loving relationship and she expressed some personal issues that she had with you. And that's why she got to bounce because you're not the person that you're not living up to her expectations of you. You know what I mean? You know, that's a little different. Because, you know, like, you know, with the ego thing, you know, that's like, you know, a man get his first money, right? His first piece of real money. It's a certain type of women and it's certain groups of women that he can now get that he couldn't get previously, right? Now, when he go put his penis in those women, that's not out of love. That's out of like a rite of passage. You know, like I'm the dude now. These the women I'm supposed to be smashing. You feel me? You don't love them, but at the same time, you feel like I'm that dude. I done slept with them. They supposed to be mine for them. It's some possessive shit for real. Like you know, they mine right now. Like you know, and then you know when you find out something different, or you find out the dude she worked with been sliding her or something like that, yeah, your ego gonna be bruised because you put yourself up so high that it couldn't happen. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
that ain't got nothing to do with love though. So when I referenced that, when I referenced that core, I was talking about love. Like you know, just a healthy, loving relationship, and she go her own way. That's gonna break your heart,
No
not
doubt.
necessarily your ego.
I can follow you. I can follow you. All right. So what's something that you learned from past relationships that you can't deal with?
What you mean? Like, elaborate
Like
on that a little more.
like
Deal breakers.
yeah, like a deal breaker, like so
Oh,
when you
like with a
like a
woman?
red flag that you know going into a relationship, you see like, oh no, I've seen this before.
Um,
I can't deal with that.
you asking me that?
Yeah, just one characteristic.
Um, I don't like arguing and like real like I don't like being talked at. You know, I don't care how a woman look, what a woman got going on, or whatever. If she talk at me or constantly like to argue, I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not that person. I don't want to hear it. I'm not even built for it. You know, I'd rather be away from you and you go on and deal with somebody else than for me to begin to argue that and talk that. Because again, you not no drill sergeant and you ain't my mama. You're a woman I'm trying to love. You know what I mean? I don't need you talking at me or talking down to me. None of that. I ain't with that at all. So definitely, um, I learned that that's just I can't tolerate that at all. Period. Say something to me, I don't like. I'm gone. For real, bro. I'm gone. And when I say that, I'm not saying like saying something I don't want to hear. You could tell me about myself or tell me what you need me to do. But I'm saying, you just get those people who just like to fly off at the mouth. Yeah, I ain't built for that. You know, we don't do no screaming and hollering. I'm gonna get out your way.
What about you, Richie Rich?
Oh, shit. My list just keeps getting longer and longer. The older I get.
He said one thing, man. He said one thing.
I mean, I'm not a big conflict person. I don't think y'all know all the stories, but like, I don't have a problem, taking conflict to the next level and ending it. But I don't even like to start conflict, and I usually try to stay away from conflict until it's a point where I can't avoid it anymore. It's like definitely the arguing and the going back and forth and the slick shots and I don't like controlling, so like a lot of that, somebody who's trying to control you, I never had to deal with it in life for real. That's why I kind of bumped my head, when I was a child, lived, my parents, my grandparents, they ruled, so it was cool, but they kind of understood it. You were a child, and as you become an adult as a male, you start to realize, you're making your own way. Once I got in the real world, start paying some bills and shit, I kind of understood like, hey, they taught me these things through their rules, but like you trying to intervene from somewhere, that I've never seen before, put some rules on me. I don't like that shit, you said then like, I don't think it's ever good for somebody to go home after argue with your mate. Y'all live together and shit. But shit, even if y'all don't live together, she comes over there, you go over there, and as soon as you get there, hit the door and arguing and shit, that ain't cool. Yeah, that's the shit that, take years off your life. So, arguing and controlling. And, I know you asked for one, but those are two that I really couldn't put up with. Like I said, I'm not perfect. I probably do a lot of shit that motherfucker can't put up with either. I don't always go home at night. Woman ain't gonna like that. So, but it's and I think that's probably the main thing. Then just learning from relationships. Kind of that's one of those things you kind of know off top. It's one of the easy ones. Like I don't like somebody to be too emotionally dependent on me. They feel like if I did something that they didn't like, or they feel like I'm in a bad mood, it fucks up their day. And I don't want to have that much control of somebody's emotions. To where
That's real.
and it's hard. That's like it's one of those things in a relationship. You gotta figure people out. I mean, you gotta know, like, you know, figure out who they are and can you deal with that.
That's
So
real, bro. That's real.
yeah,
That's real. That I mean, I know Corey got to go, but like that's man right there. What you just said, bro. That's so real because that kind of goes back to what I was saying about the cheating part. It's like when you cheat, it's like they tell you how catastrophic it was to them. You know what I mean? And in your mind, it's like, damn, baby, like I didn't want your self-esteem and your livelihood to be propped up on my actions. Cause I know I'm bound to fuck up. I know
Yeah,
me, you know what I'm saying? So I ain't want to carry your self-esteem, your ego, and your fucking mental health with me. You know what I mean? And then I do something and you crushed. You know, that's
that's
tough. That's hard.
that's a big weight to
I don't,
carry. That's a big
yeah, I
burden
don't
to
want
carry
that
on your shoulders.
responsibility. And that's just like, you know, somebody feeling like you have to make them happy. Like I want us to have happy moments together, but I don't want to be the reason that you happy.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a big burden. That's a big burden to carry. It's a big weight to have on your neck when you just,
Yeah,
it's like you said,
don't
it's
like
hard
that.
enough really doing right by yourself and living your own life. But you know, you got to make sure somebody else is happy like all the time.
All the
That's
time. Yeah, that's tough.
that's the anchor. You know, you'll sink trying to swim with that.
That's
That's
tough.
tough. Yeah. So you know, and then like and then going back to the cheating thing, like, and I even hate the word cheating, but there's so many different levels and so many different reasons why people get so upset about it, and it's crazy because you said it. You didn't know that you going out and being with another woman could impact her ego so much, or kill her self confidence. And that's not the part you even think about. Like, so like it can be. You know, I've heard women say, it's funny because this is the place when it always hits me. Like, damn, you cheated. You at least have the nerve to cheat up. Find somebody better than me who's got a, what I'm saying, who's doing all right for themselves. Like, I don't give a fuck about that shit. But like, my thing is too, like, would you actually feel better if I did? Like, somebody who looked better than you, was younger, had some more money. Like, doesn't you feel better? Like, so like it's it's like I said, that's a topic for a whole nother show, but that's the shit right there. They're like, a whole lot of people just to be on the same page with. It is crazy because some people who are swingers and have open relationships and they just fine.
And
But
be great.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody should be down with it, but like,
Hey,
that's so wow.
Corey, you seem like you got some. I'm gonna say something to what you just said at the end, but Corey, you can go ahead first.
What was that? What I
No, I'm
learned?
saying, yeah.
Um. Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. What I need? What I can't deal with. You talking about my deal breaker? I think my deal breaker would just be honesty. Um. But don't get it twisted. Y'all said some stuff too. I hadn't thought about that. I ain't going for either. Don't get it twisted. But I don't want to say the same thing y'all said, so I'm gonna just say honesty.
So you don't
Just
like lying into deceit.
yeah, I can't deal with the lying and the deceit. Give me, just keep it 100 with me, and because now I got two options. Either I can deal with it or I can't deal with it.
Well, let me ask you that. Let me ask you this though. Was that always a big thing of yours, or was it one particular relationship that made you feel like you just can't deal with a woman who lies and was deceitful?
Can't say it was a situationship.
No, but was it one woman though? Like who? I mean, because like we talk about like I'm not, I don't try to control other people, so I don't like controlling shit myself. But like, you know, that's been something to me from when I was a kid. And I just ain't never did really well with rules. But like the emotional, like those emotionally damaged women, I learned that from dealing with women.
Say the last part again.
like those emotionally damaged women, I learned that from dealing with women. Like the rule shit, I've never really been really good with rules. But like, like dealing with somebody who's, on edge emotion all the time, I had to learn that from dealing with women, learn that I didn't like that. So I'm just asking how you always not like people who are dishonest and lie.
Basically, did a woman make you feel like you need honesty? Like, was a woman dishonest to you at one point? Then it made you feel strongly about
Oh,
dishonesty.
okay. I'm following the question. Yes, that's the answer. The answer would be yes then. The answer would be yes.
But ill thing, right? I done been cheated on. Like I got cheated on by like my second girlfriend. She cheated on me with an older guy. It's like some high school stuff. You feel me? And I've always talked about, a woman spent me on Valentine's Day, like tried to make me the second Valentine's Day date, right? And you know, um, how could I put it? That right there, it kind of it taught me who I was as a person, like because it's like I didn't even dislike him afterwards. Some men to be crushed, find out a woman they dealing with cheating or whatever, right? But for me, it was more so like, okay, I still deal with you, but just don't be salty if you catch me. You feel me? Like we still good, but just don't be salty if you catch me. Or if you hear, that I'm supposed to be dealing with somebody or whatever.
You,
You
you
know,
know the weird thing about like a woman cheating or messing around on you, and this may sound crazy, but if I was messing with a woman and I catch her messing with a dude and I keep messing with her, typically I didn't really care about her like that.
It's heavy.
Cause the ones that I really cared for and I found out they was messing around, I probably thought I could get over it, but I couldn't get over it.
it's
I
a
don't know if
difference
that's
between.
I
I
don't know
mean,
if that's backwards. I don't know if that's backwards or not, but so to all the women out there, if I caught you with your pants down, I never call you no more. I really liked you.
but for me, it's like this, right? If I like a person, I like how I vibe with a person. I like some of the things that we do during the course of the day, course of the week, or whatever, right? I still be clinging on to that, versus their action. But their action would only mean that I don't have to be that way to them. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I take it more so as a blessing for real. Like, okay, the relationship aspect of this is over with. We relating, but we can't get on the ship. You feel me? I'm okay with that. I'm okay
Yeah,
with that.
I
yeah.
like Ever. I
Valid
like
point.
Ever. I
The
like Ever.
sex,
So
the sex
you
still
I mean,
amazing. We still kicking it. You still cool to talk to. I can still run stuff by you. We great.
so you feel like she took it to the mud and just threw all the rules out the window. So you cool now.
Yeah, but just when Matrix 3 come out, I might be at the show with somebody else. You feel
okay, but the catch to that though, and I'm in agreement with you with that. Cause like now the curtain's been pulled back, and so y'all can just really kick it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I ain't
But
gotta listen to your rules no more, none of that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but if
threw
it
the
was
rules
the
out
Great.
the
one that you
window.
was really really digging, and y'all thought y'all was going somewhere with it, and that comes out, that ain't a stinger, and it makes you kind of put them in a box like, nah, I can't rock with you like that. It
I
ain't what I
can't
thought.
but that's
That,
what you saying what I'm saying. It's the like that part. I can't rock with you like that. That don't mean I can't rock with you. I just can't rock with you like that. You know what I mean? We not gonna be together in that relationship sense, but we can still kick it though.
maybe I'm on the what they used to call that. Maybe come to that, I'm an old tender dick nigga. I gotta get out of there. I run. I'm gone. I'm
you
out.
know, hey, listen. I think, and I say this a lot, but people don't really grasp it. I was fortunate enough to see both ends of my parents' relationship growing up. A lot of people grow up seeing their mother is good, their father is bad, right? or they may never really never paid attention to, or it was hidden from them, the things that their mother did to their father,
No
right?
doubt. Mm-hmm.
So me, I was able to see some of the things that my mom did that affected my father, some of the things she said that affected my father. You feel me? So I just understand that people aren't going to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? And me understanding that is like we could rock if you not holding me to some level of perfection while you being imperfect. Now, if we both accept each other's imperfections, you know what I mean? Then I could roll with that. And even maybe like, we might both grow out of our issues together and end up being together. That's possible, And I'm speaking in the past, you know what I mean? I'm not speaking like now, but I'm saying like in the past, that's just how I thought about it. Like, maybe we could grow out of it together and, maybe become something or whatever. But, and again, too, something we could talk about in the future is why do men be so crushed when a woman cheat or act like they can't get over it when a woman cheats, but expect the woman to get over it if we cheat? And again, that's a topic,
That's
for
the
the
topic.
future.
Let's use that one for the next joint. I guess that's a deep topic.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of levels of that shit.
Y'all can start with me because I ain't going.
Hey, listen, man. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, bro. Me and G, right? Me and G, we both knew this woman when we was like in our early 20s, right? And she was married. And, this is before the whole social media era or whatever, but, like when you just listen to people talk about them, it's like, she was this great woman. She was doing good, at the time, educated, and she was married to this guy, right? Picture perfect, right? But she literally was sliding me and Gee interchangeably on her breaks at work. So that was one of my earliest examples of people not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Because if you sit back like, damn, she got a degree, she got a great job, she got a husband, but she not only is she sleeping with me, she's sleeping with Gee too.
Yeah, I mean, I get it totally. I remember. Well, I ain't gonna say that on there, but you're right. You're right.
And again, it didn't make me not trust women. It just made me understand that, man, people just ain't perfect, man. And when they start telling you their reasons for doing what they doing, some of that stuff be real deep rooted. You know what I mean? I done came across women who felt, unattractive their whole life, and then they was with a person, and then they developed a body. Maybe after having a baby, or just maybe with age, they developed a body. They grew into their looks. They want to mingle a little bit. But they got this attachment, going on. But they done kind of grew into themselves, so they just want to have some different experiences. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not the type of, I don't hold that against nobody. And I could be wrong because, that's somebody else's woman I probably was dealing with at the time. But, and you might have to deal with some karma for that. But I mean, I just took it as what it is. So like I said,
When it comes to relationships and it comes to like that karma stuff, relationships, I think the good can happen to any of us, and the bad can happen to any of us.
that's true.
So we can think of the most playboyish person. You'd think he got everything together and whoop de whoop, but somebody sliding. He finally get him a girl. Somebody sliding his girl.
Yeah.
It can happen on both sides of that matrix. Like it can happen to anybody. So nobody's immune from it. Nobody's immune from that at all.
But you just touched on something that I've been, and it's kind of off topic, but I've been arguing that with women on social media for years. Like women got this belief in their mind that men cheat, women don't, right? And then it also boils down to if a woman cheats, it's the man's fault. She only cheating because it's something the man wasn't doing. You know what I mean? And like that's just not true because, like you just said, man, we just come across, we all kind of sort of know each other's dealings. You feel me? We done seen so many situations where the woman was out of pocket. And then for me, I'm glad that just seeing those things didn't make me not trust women. Because I know a whole lot of guys that just got that personality, like all women ain't shit. You stupid if you trust these hoes, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just not. I'm
Yeah,
not hurt
because
to
it's
the
a
point that I feel that way.
it's a lot of beautiful women out there, and not necessarily saying physically. I mean, just how they carry themselves and just how their thought process is, and how they just want to, yes, they just, it's some real beautiful people, but it's some bad apples out there too. But you can't group them all together. You got to treat them all as individuals.
Mhm.
You just have to. So it's like and sometimes we sitting there we talking, and you may hear me say a statement like women this or women not that, and that statement is coming out, but I'm not trying to make it seem like all women are like that, or not like that.
Yeah, you're not speaking in absolutes.
Right? Because I mean, every woman is. I mean,
Ain't like that.
yeah, and they different. I mean, they just are. So it's like you just got to treat them all as individuals. I mean, but
I got
don't
a
get
good
this. There's some messed up people out here too. But
I got a good question for you, right? So we done discussed how the things that we learned from relationships or whatever, right?
mhm.
So do you think that you and a woman could part ways, right? And y'all both kind of learn y'all lessons from y'all original dealings, right?
Hmm.
Do you think that y'all could ever come back together, get back together, like in the future?
Certain women I probably could, and there's certain ones I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Certain it's it's some that nah, we couldn't speak. We still can't speak to this day. But
Mm-hmm.
then it's some that you know I may be open to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I treat them all individually.
For me, it kind of goes back to my deal breaker. Like, it's like I said, I don't like being talked at. I don't like being talked down to, and you know, I don't like arguing. So upon the split, most women do my deal breaker. They talk to me, they talk at me, they try to read me. They argue, they bitch, they disrespect me. So it's kind of like that closed the door on a future. You know what I mean?
Left that bad taste in your mouth. You don't even want to give it a chance.
Well, hold
Which
on, hold on. Let me say that again, y'all. I said some of them would, some of them I couldn't. It would only be the ones that, like, say, we had some type of situation and we fell out, but what we probably fell out with could have been like a immature thing or something that somebody could have grow out of. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they had something going on in their life or something, and they need time to get past it, or I don't know. But if it's something that's it's just a characteristic of them that they just won't change, yeah, then we probably couldn't get back together. We couldn't give it another try. But if it was something that was changeable and over time, they seeked out not necessarily not putting it all on them, but it may have been something I needed to change too. That, you know, I was able to change. That's the only thing that could open the door up. But if it was something that's non-changeable, like you saying, Ski, like, and some people it's just in them just to argue with everybody.
Yeah.
So that's something that's not gonna change.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say something. Oh, so hypothetically speaking, so if you part ways with a woman that you loved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But y'all have a real bad breakup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe, she kind of reach out and y'all have a few different conversations over a period of time to where y'all trying to iron a few things out that went on in y'all previous relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that having to see the person you used to deal with on social media would prevent you from getting back with them in the future? Because for one, you're gonna see their relationships. You're gonna know who they dealt
Okay,
with.
so we was messing around. We stopped messing around. I seen all the guys she was messing with.
Hold on,
I had to
pause. Let's look at it this way. In the past, pre-social media, right? If you parted ways with a woman, it wasn't all this connectivity, video, and all this stuff. So you're not seeing her life. So when you bump back into her, it's just like, hey, how you been doing? I've been thinking about you since we parted ways, blah, 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 blah. You're not seeing what she's been doing from the point that y'all parted ways up until when y'all bump back into each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now in the era of social media, when y'all part ways, you kind of see who she go to afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
You see the stuff she say. You see how she act.
Mm-hmm.
Once y'all not together no more. A good example is, she probably used to be on your back about looking at. Let's just say she used to be on your back about looking at porn.
Mm-hmm.
She caught you looking at some porn in your phone.
So you gonna
But
call me?
here is you see her on social media and she
So
twerking
you gonna call me
naked.
Kirk Franklin? All right, that's cool though. But go ahead.
I'm just giving you an example, but then I'm saying like you see her twerking naked on her social media page.
But twerking with a thong on, I ain't gonna have her naked, but I got you.
Well, that's what I'm just saying. Well, half naked, whatever, right? But I'm saying, so the way that she used to be on you, you wouldn't think that that would be a part of her character. You feel me? And now you got to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna. I mean, for me, it'll make me question, like, damn, who were you? Were you just acting like you was a certain way so you could try to impose rules and regulations on me? Is this who you really was? Online swimsuit twerker or whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm not knocking women who twerk online, whatever. That's y'all business. I'm just using that as an example, you know what I mean? Just an extreme from, somebody playing like the church lady and she don't do anything wrong, you do everything wrong, to y'all parting ways, and then she's like the total opposite online after. Would that keep you from dealing with her again in the future? And like I said, keep in mind,
How about this? How about when I was dealing with her, she was just very judgmental on everything that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But now you seeing her doing stuff and you like, she's doing a lot of some stuff that you can be judgmental on. How can you be doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So would I deal with her again? I would have to have a conversation with her first. Because some of the stuff she could have been judgmental on me about, she may have just hadn't experienced it and probably just didn't understand it. And that could be that maturity thing where she got a little older, understanding now that it wasn't as big of a deal as she thought then.
Mm-hmm.
So we could have a conversation and be like, see where her head is at, because that's something you can outgrow just from life experiences. Because when you're using the porno thing, maybe when she caught me looking at porno, she had never seen porno before and thought it was something all whacked out and crazy. But then after me, she probably talked to, I don't know, her uncle, maybe talk to her auntie, maybe talk to some of her friends, and start seeing like it ain't as bad as that she thought. And then it took her time just to to comprehend it, and to accept it, you know. And over time, then she went to showing a little cleavage. Then next thing you know, she's shaking. She in the thong.
That's real. And then sometimes like your breakup with a woman or whatever it was, cause y'all to go y'all separate ways, shapes a woman. So she may have felt like she may have been like on some, I want to be the first lady type of image. And he's over watching porn every night. Y'all fall out, and y'all choose to go y'all separate ways. And she's like, "Well, shit, maybe that's what I need to do to keep a man." And
Yeah.
so like, that's a tough one. That's a tough one right there. But like,
They can put their insecurities on the forefront.
yeah. A lot of times,
that's crazy because I've seen it where a man and woman part ways, and the first thing, and that's why, like I said, this social media really affect people because the first thing that happens is the man show his money and the woman show her ass. They both experiencing the same type of hurt, you know what I mean? So he like, I got money, fuck these hoes. She like, I got body, I got ass, I got any nigga I want, fuck these niggas, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that just how it be, you feel me?
Yeah.
That, for me though, if I don't, if I had been dealing with I probably would unfollow the woman on social media, just because it's going because just seeing her interacting, it's gonna probably just taint the way that I look at her for real. Especially like if I'm not in a space where I just want to hate this woman the rest of my life. Sometimes you part ways with people and you just hate them. You know what I mean? If you heard they was in a bad accident tomorrow, you probably would just be like, hey. But then, sometimes you part ways with somebody and you still might, just have a little bit of genuine concern about them. For me, I would think that social media will probably wash that concern away for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it gives you a little bit more gives you that space away from them, so it's easier, let those feelings die off. You ain't really got to have it all in your face.
Yeah.
So I'm just the opposite. Usually when things go bad with me and a woman, they block me. So but yeah, I always thought that would be rough though, man. Y'all are, you got ties through social media, y'all go y'all own separate ways. It's like, having to see somebody on there all the time. That's because, most times you're not in a position where you see them every day unless you work with them or, you have some kind of business dealings you're still in the tangle with. But, that to me, it will make it worse. I'm laughing about it, but most of the time they really do block me. I can kind of understand why it helps them have it, space away, get each other out of your systems and, things a little bit better. And just talking about that, like shit, sometimes I think it goes back to the question, because you ever, rekindle a relationship that you had in the past, and just without any particular thoughts about any particular woman, like I could see that happening because you both have time to mature. But like I think what Corey was trying to say is, some people you just genuinely don't like after you really get to know them and be with them for a while. So like those automatically get disqualified. But like I feel like if you really dug somebody and whatever it was, like that caused y'all to have these rifts or whatever it is, like a lot of times it be outside influence. Like it could be financial, or it could be somebody dealing with something in life. It could be baby's mom or a baby's daddy who interjected themselves in a relationship, and you were 25 fucking with this person and didn't know how to handle those things. Even if you really did like or love them, that can tear a relationship apart. Now you skip 5 years in the future or even 10 years into the future plus, you got a level of maturity that you learn from those situations, because any situation you go through is going to teach you. Like, so just say like dude was down and down on his finances, whatever it was at 25, and shorty's 23, and she got the baby daddy coming around and fucking shit up. 5 years down the road, like you just kind of learn. 10 years down the road, you get a full understanding of this shit. You know, or not even full understanding, but like you get a much better understanding. So like you're like, well, shit, we had a good time together. You know, we talked, we understood each other. You know, they had family I like, whatever it was, y'all really dug each other. But you know, the problems that y'all had in the past are gone. So shit, why not give it another try? You know, like I could see that. I could definitely see that. And I don't even usually backtrack, but I can understand how, you know, being in a generic situation, I can see how that could go.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, you could be messing with a chick, baby daddy keep getting in the way. You catch up with her 5 years from now, baby daddy locked up.
That nigga dead. That nigga dead.
Yeah. So you're like, well, he ain't around now. What up?
But now he gonna get out though.
Hey,
he gonna get out.
He's that pookie low.
He gonna be
Yeah,
right back in y'all relationship.
By the time you get out, little shorty be 18. You know.
Nah.
Oh shit.
Nah, that's a tough one. Nah, that one ain't gonna be me, bro.
What they going through?
Nah. I'm gonna get out y'all way. But guess what though? If I like bump back into you and you wanna like, you know, and I'm just saying like this in the past, like, you know, if I bump back into you, I'm gonna use bumped. If I bumped back into you and you know you wanted to, you know, link up briefly or something like that, I could do that, you know what I mean? But now your baby daddy can have you though. If he was the issue in our relationship, you know what I mean? He can have you. Your ex can have you, your ex-husband, whoever, they can have you, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm
Because
just saying that. I'm just throwing that.
I'm not about to compete. I'm not about to compete with no woman for no, I mean with no man for no woman. You feel me?
Right. But I mean, keep in mind, I was just throwing it out there as a generic problem. Like it may have been, she may have been having some financial problems, and you had the baby's mama who was always fucking around. Like, you know, I'm just saying, just generic, whatever it is, problems that can like kind of go away over time.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get that.
But I definitely
I'm just saying jail. I'm just saying mothers come home from jail. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So jail ain't keeping him out the way. Like he's still, you know, he writing jail letters. She just ain't letting you see him. You feel me? He making all kind of promises for when he get out.
Yeah.
You know, and then here you there until he come home. You know what I mean? Then he home. You know, that's a tough one.
Nah, that's a bad situation. You know, and you know it's bad
and again,
situation.
I honestly I've been in that situation though. You know, dealing with a woman and the dude she was dealing with was in jail and she telling me all these different bad things that she went through with the dude. And then when he came home, it was like the excitement of him being home, you know, she still wanted to, you know, try to get him some attention. You feel me? And you know, I'm like, well, okay. I mean, if that's what you want to do, I'm gonna just get out your way. You know what I mean? So she tried to give me the whole spiel about. I mean, we was together for this long. I mean, you can't be mad at me that I just wanted to at least just go, you know, see him now that he. Nah, stay over there. Stay on over there,
Yeah. You know, I dealt with that personally too. Like I said, you know, when I dealt with a woman and I fucked with her heavy, and I knew going into this shit. We both knew going into this shit. You know, it wasn't anything serious, but it's one of those things where you just stay around too long and got a little serious. You know, I was going through some shit. She was going through some shit, kind of. You know, what I'm saying she had the baby's daddy was locked up, and I said it like, you know, when dude got out, I was like, you know, look, we ain't a thing, we ain't a mutual thing. Like, you know, I had my son on the way, you know, and you know, I knew she had a dude who was locked up, and I just like, look, you know, dude's coming out, dude's coming home, but he get out early. I'm like, shit, we cool, you know, just holler at me, you know what I'm saying? We still have a conversation and shit, but like that shit was like, you know, it wasn't no thing until, you know, until it was a thing. You hung around it too long, and then it turned into some bullshit. So I definitely understand you on that. Like in the most situations, you know, once you got that DNA, that genetic bond, like it's gonna be hard for the man who ain't got that same bond for it. So like I'm full on the same page with you fully. Like I don't fuck around with that shit, and I've been through it. So like,
I remember that. Me and you talked about that. I remember, I remember you being a little down about that.
yeah, that
You
was
know
it.
what
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Like
saying?
that was, and that was a wild one because I learned a lot from that one. Like that was the one I think out of all relationships I probably learned the most from because I was fucking with that woman and total sweetheart, great woman, but I knew going into it she had a baby's daddy and I wasn't fucking around. Like shit, I had came down to I had both of them pregnant at the same time. It was my first child on the way, and then she comes up pregnant and all that shit. Like she was always there and down for me. Like I said, we went back and forth on all that shit. Like as a matter of fact, when her dude came home, uh, of course they had the house together and shit. And she was like, "I'm gonna put this nigga out on the street." I'm like, "Well, I don't do all that." You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, I knew I still had my own life. I was kind of telling her, like, "Look, in so many words, what we have is cool, but I got a life I got to maintain. I got to get figured out." And dude is your baby's daddy. Like that's some fucked up shit, dude. Just getting out and you talking about, yo, you can't stay here to the same place you paroled to. Like that's harsh. At the end of the day, that may have been what ended our relationship. But like, even looking back on it now, I still would have done the same thing. Like, I love the girl. I love that girl a lot. But like, it's I I'm pretty destructive, and I wouldn't want to be like, girl had a daughter by this guy. Now you got to look at it like little babies look. She wasn't a baby, but the young girl was looking at like, damn, daddy's out on the street. I'm pretty sure it would have been all right, but it's a lot of shit goes into those relationships and shit. Like, what I'm saying, every situation ain't the same, but most of them got a lot of the same characteristics in them. So yeah, that shit was. And then I used to have to see the bitch out with a baby's daddy. And I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, I know it's just tough. It's just tough on a motherfucker.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You learn this shit. You learn this shit. And I remember her even telling me that once we went our own separate ways, the final time she was like, she told me that I taught her that she could be her own woman, that she didn't have to depend on her baby's daddy. The thing was, he enabled her financially in a lot of ways. And, she learned by fucking with me that she could go out and do her own thing. She could go out and get her own apartment. She could go out and get her own house. She could, move out of town, do all this and that. It felt good from that aspect, and somebody learned from you and grew with you. But like, I just realized from that, at some point, everything comes to an end if it ain't what's really meant for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it always goes down to when it first jumps off at first, when that shit's going bad and awry, that shit hurts. But you get over it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Damn, that's deep.
Nah, that
That's
shit
deep. I
goes
mean,
down all the
because
time.
it just make you reflect, man. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's like, with women, they be thinking, I guess since as men, it's not really cool for us to be emotional. Like even when it come to your friends, you know what I'm saying? So like, I done been around my friends and shit. It may even have been me. And you had a bad breakup, bad relationship, and you kind of breaking down. And as a friend, you could kind of sort of you're gonna be there like, damn, bro, I'm going through it. But it's almost like as a friend, like we don't, women like they'll put themselves in a friend situation. As men, it's just like we just be there, like, damn, bro, if you need me, hit me, man. But
That's
I don't
the
really,
truth, man.
I ain't really got no, ain't nothing I
That
can
was
really
bad.
say to you for real.
I forget about it because I don't even think you really met her too many times, Keith. But I remember going through this shit. You was the one I
Yeah,
always like. You was coming through and getting me. You was taking me
yeah,
spots. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
I
forget
remember
about
that.
that part of it. It shows you just how wild shit is because you knew about both the situations. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And like, I guess I can't play the victim, but technically, what either one of them motherfuckers my girlfriend. So like, I wasn't like on no bullshit, but like I just I got too caught up with two different women at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and like I said, like you said, like a woman will interject herself, like, you know, as a girl and her friend, a girl and her girl be them two against you, you know, and you know, just what should we have? You were just like, y'all would just make sure I was straight. You know, like it wasn't no too many questions. It wasn't like, you know, you was trying to do it, dive into it and figure out what kind of bullshit I was on, because you knew I was doing some bullshit at the end of the day, regardless. So you wasn't tripping on that, but you just want to make sure your friend was all right. So
yeah.
Sure.
Damn, Corey, you over there looking like you in deep thought, boy. Don't call her, Corey. Don't call her, bro. Don't call her. He looking at that phone now, like, damn, I should go ahead and call her, man. I done learned about myself tonight. I'm about to call. No.
Oh shit.
Nah, I ain't gonna do it.
Corey, learn from my bullshit, man. Don't ever go back.
Don't call, bro.
Whichever one it was, she don't even look as good no more. So just keep that in front of you.
They gotta say.
Whichever one it was. If anything, you need to be checking for a little cousin or a little sister.
Oh man, nah, don't do that, man. Y'all did that on the last one, man. Don't make these women haters, man. You know, time winding down. I think we at like 8:25. You know, it's like almost 2 hours. But let me see. Let's just all say one more thing that we may have learned about relationships, or just like, and again, we're not gonna even say about relationships, because I want to keep it on us. I would say how could I put it? I learned what I could offer a woman, right? And I learned to focus on those things and build up those things, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not a choir boy, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I wasn't raised to keep women, I was raised to get women. You know what I mean? So I'm a charmer. Like, you know, women always tell me I'm a slick talker. Yeah, I slick talk to death. I'm charming. You know, a lot of women sometimes will, you know me from social media and say that they hate me, but you know, a lot of times they come across me in public and it's like, wow, like you seem like a totally different person. You know what I'm saying? It's because I know, you know, I just know how to be in the presence of a woman. But, you know, I also by learning that I'm flawed in a lot of ways, right? I learned to be always open for criticism. You feel me? Especially if that's going to be for the betterment of me and my partner. You know, I'm open for criticism. Now, don't scream and holler at me or whatever, but if I'm doing something or if I'm not doing something that I need to be doing whatever to make our situation better. If I love you, I want to make it better. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, tell me, let me go reflect, and I try to build, you know, from that point. You know, in the past, you know, once a woman told me I was flawed, I was just okay with moving on. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna work on nothing. I'm gonna just get out your way, because I kind of always felt like once a woman start complaining, she ready to stray anyway. You feel me? I feel like she already got her eyes set on where she want to go anyway. So once she complaining to me, I'm like, well, shit, the bell done been rung. They always say once a bell rung, you can't unring it. You know what I'm saying? So once you start that nonsense, well, I don't call it nonsense because it could be, you know, warranted. But once they're starting to pass, I just be like, hey, I'm gonna just get out your way. You know, But now, you know, after learning about myself over the years, like I'm more open to criticism. And I won't even say criticism, but just maybe critique, more open to discussion without shutting down or without just feeling like we just gotta cut it off. That's mine.
That's tough right there. Core.
Oh, you want me to go next? What I learned about myself, that I'm not perfect. I learned that I got to be a better communicator. I learned that, you know, I can't be so protective of myself.
Mm. Me and you done talked about that before.
Let me see. I learned more. I think it's probably the bigger thing I've learned is perspective. Because sometimes we in a situation, we only can see it from our perspective. And it's my perspective. If it's it's my perspective, it's her perspective. And then sometimes it's just the bigger perspective of it all.
Or reality. Neither one of y'all perspective, just reality in general.
Right. And I think that's probably, you know, and it's easy to say, but it's hard to, you know, when y'all have a situation going for you to, hold on, let me step back and don't take it so personal. Don't see it from where I'm coming from, but see it where she's coming from. And then see like, okay, where she's coming from, where I'm coming from, is this making any sense? How can we make it that we both understand it? You know? And you know, that's sometimes it's tough and it takes patience and it takes all this stuff takes discipline and it takes not giving up. Like once you find that thing, you gotta anything in life that you got. I don't care if it's the car you wanted to get, the watch you got, or just anything that you kind of strive to get. The education, the job, you have to fight for it. So when it comes to a relationship, if it's something that you want, you got to fight.
Real. That's real.
Yeah.
It's on you, Rich.
Let's make sure Courtney have a chair going down his ass.
Take us home.
That fight for the relationship was kind of tough right there. Well, let me check my own eyes. God damn.
Don't let me find out you on here finessing, man, trying to come off as vulnerable so you can snag some old buns.
You know he ain't, man. You know this what he's up to, man.
Piece of shit.
Everything else. Man, look, by the time we leave the cutting room, this would be a 2-minute Zoom out. Oh shit! But I kind of got one of the same points that you touched on, Skeet. Like, you got to have them. Like in a relation, you got to have that communication. Like, it's got to be open dialogue. Both people got to be honest. Like, it's got to be upfront as far as like, you know, where things ain't hitting where they are, because you let those small problems spiral and get out of control, like it'll tear apart a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think the open communication, and then like, you know, I think the biggest thing is when it goes to me is just gotta be honest with myself, you know, and know what I want out of not only just relationship but life before I could ever fuck with somebody like that. Because, and you look at it, if you're telling yourself, and it ain't just me, like, anybody upfront, honest, if you trying to fit somebody else's narrative, it ain't gonna work. You got to know your own, wants and goals out of life before you can actually get involved with somebody else. So knowing yourself is the most vital thing you can do. And especially when you add another person in your life, you gotta be on that shit.
That's real. Man, this was a great discussion, man.
Yeah.
Glad we could all be, open, and hopefully we help some people, to get a better understanding of things going forward. Before we close out, let's, next time we could do can you deal with a woman after she cheated on you? Or let's even say after you cheated on her, then she cheated back. Can you deal with that? You know what I mean? So we'll say that for next time, man. Great conversation, man.
All right.
That was fun. It was great. Shit, well, today's Sunday. We should probably want to go over things. We might even shoot towards the end of the week, try to see if or either this time again next week or towards the end of the week. I don't know where everybody's holiday schedules looking like. We'll get it figured out as far as time. But let's take some time to go over that, over some stronger points when it comes to that. Because once you open up a topic like that, it's gonna be a lot of things to hit on.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. It was good talking to y'all.